Ahoy hoy, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just get the bad stuff out of the way immediately. That was an absolutely depressing start to the NFL season for the New York Giants. My New York Giants. It wasn't even that it was that humiliating of a loss. It's a loss to Dallas, which always sucks. And our offense looked so pitiful that, I mean, they just couldn't do anything. It was like they were taking the week off or something. It was bad. It was really, really bad. And of course it had to be on Sunday night. It couldn't be the afternoon game, or it couldn't be the 4 o'clock game. No. It had to be the main event of the day, so it just ended the whole thing on a sour note. Fortunately, Rick and Morty pulled me out of my doldrums with another excellent episode, because Rick and Morty fucking rules. But you don't want to hear me talk about any of that. You want to hear me talk about pro wrestling, some of the wrestling and what's going on in wrestling. Well, I will say this. I'm thinking about getting back into Raw just because I'm really liking the build-up to Strowman and Lesnar, and that is a match I want to see. And I have not been watching Raw, but I have gone back and watched the Strowman and Lesnar stuff, because it's a match that I find legitimately interesting, and one that I'm going to tune into No Mercy to actually watch. So congratulations, WWE. You gave me a match that I wanted, and I'm going to check it out. Good on you. It's like, you see, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. You just give me the matches I want, and then I'll tune in and watch. It's easy. It's very easy. But speaking of the WWE Network, I'm toying around with the idea of doing this as a live streaming series. My last attempt at a live stream was a disaster, but I think I've got all the kinks worked out, and whatever it was that happened the last time shouldn't be a problem the next time I do it. But I'm toying around with the idea of going back and watching all the old episodes of Saturday Night's Main Event and Clash of the Champions, which I was going to do anyway. But I was thinking about doing a live stream of me watching all the old episodes of Saturday Night's Main Event and Clash of Champions. The way I've got it figured out, there are 36 episodes of Saturday Night's Main Event and 35 episodes of Clash of Champions. So week 1 would be the first Saturday Night's Main Event, and then weeks 2 through 36 would be every episode of Saturday Night's Main Event, and Clash of Champions is like one thing I would do on a Saturday, I guess. Just, flip on both episodes at noon, watch them back to back, and then you get to watch me watch them and discuss and analyze them while I'm watching them, and see how the shows measure up to whatever my memory is of that show. If that's something you'd be interested in seeing, please let me know. It's an idea I'm toying around with it. I haven't decided if I'm actually going to do it yet, but if that's something you all would be interested in seeing, just comment down below, and I'll consider doing it. If I do it, it would be something that I would have to do. It's something I would have to start doing next year in 2018, not something I could do now, because I'm busy with other things. But it would be interesting, and like I said, I'm going to go back and watch all the Saturday Night's Main Events and all the Clash of Champions anyway, so why not make a thing out of it? So we'll see if it works. And I honestly don't know how I would be as a live streamer, especially watching something that was taped and filmed like 20, 30 years ago, but it would be interesting to watch anyway, and hopefully I would have interesting things to say while watching them. So again, I'll leave that up to you. If it's something you'd like to see, comment down below. So that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about today, but what I do have for you, as promised, with a little delay, but the top 10 matches from August 2017. Like I said in my previous video, I wanted to watch Triplemania, and I wanted to watch the 4-way from SummerSlam before I made my top 10 list official. I have done that, so now I can go ahead and give you my top 10 list from August. So with that, let's go ahead. Number 10, Cody versus Christopher Daniels for the Ring of Honor World title in a 2 out of 3 falls match from August 5th. Really good match. One of the better Ring of Honor matches I've seen in a while, especially on their TV show. Well-built main event. They spent the entire episode basically setting it up and making it feel like a big match. And then they delivered. Cody won 2 straight falls, but it was still like a well-put-together, well-executed match, and Cody went over. I think Cody's been doing great outside of the WWE, and this is just another example of it. I think Daniel's recent character change of him being jaded, that the fans turned on him, is good for him. And this match showed the strengths of both guys. So yeah, really enjoyable TV match. Number 9, Johnny Mundo versus Rey Mysterio for the Lucha Underground title from the August 23rd episode of Lucha Underground. This is the match they had built up for 2 months. And in my review of it, I said that it was very good. It wasn't in that top-tier, upper echelon, best, one of the best Lucha Underground matches of all time. But it was still very good. Very solid title match, and I was glad, they made me wait so long for it. I was just glad to see it. Mundo retained, which was a nice surprise. I'm always the type of guy that says go with the heel. I wasn't a fan of Dario's interference at the end. I felt like that could have been handled better. But I liked Dominic's interference. I thought was good. And I thought it was a very good athletic match all the way through and worthy of the 2-month build-up that it received. So, and now we're moving into episode 100 and we're moving into Ultima Lucha Trace in a couple weeks. So, a lot of stuff to look forward to with Lucha Underground. Next up, from that very same episode of Lucha Underground, Prince Puma versus Pentagon Dark in the finals of the Cueto Cup. Again, this is another thing that had been going on for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. The Cueto Cup tournament, we finally got the finals. It came down to, I think, the two best options, Prince Puma and Pentagon Dark. And Puma got the win, but it was an excellent match and definitely worthy as a tournament finals to this long-running thing that had been going on for weeks and months. So, kudos there for that payoff. Number 7, the main event to Triplemania 25. Dr. Wagner Jr. versus Psycho Clown in a mask versus mask match. My thoughts of Triplemania as a whole, aside from everything I've said about that Rosemary Sexy Star situation, which I'm not even going to cover that anymore. That's just been beat to death. But I thought the show as a whole was... most of the matches were very spotty. Just big, multi-man spot fest matches that didn't really grab me. They were just... Most of the matches felt like an excuse to do spots. The two best matches were the TLC match that Johnny Mundo won, and was good. It's funny, I'm criticizing Spotfest, and one of the better matches on the show was a TLC match, but it was a good match. And the best match, they ended strong, the main event, Doc Wagner Jr. versus Psycho Clown. And basically, I had to sum this up. This was kind of a better version of what WWE was going for with Undertaker versus Reigns at WrestleMania. It's the old veteran going out in a main event and giving it his all and ultimately losing. And you got that emotional moment with Doc Wagner losing his mask. And that meant a lot to a lot of people. It was very emotional. I thought it was very well executed. I thought the match was good. Wagner, for his age, dude can still go and work that main event match. And you had the emotional investment attached to it. That really made it work. And Psycho Clown, I think, is such a different personality from Wagner that the two clashed so well that everything about this I thought worked. I thought it was just a really good, well put together main event, and by far the best part of Triplemania 25. Unfortunately, it's kind of like that one Super Bowl where it was Patriots and Panthers. I think that's one of the best Super Bowls of all time. Nobody remembers it because everybody remembers that shit show in the halftime show with... I'm not even going to give attention to it anymore. We all remember that, but nobody remembers the fact that it was one of the best Super Bowls ever. We kind of have that situation here with Triplemania where everybody's talking about the shit show that happened in the women's match, but nobody is talking about how really good this main event was and how it really was a very good ending to the show. And I would like for that to get a little bit more attention other than the unfortunate situation that took place earlier in the event. But... moving on from there, number 6, the much talked about Fatal 4-Way match from SummerSlam 2017. Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe for the Universal title. I went back and watched it. I did not watch the rest of SummerSlam because fuck that, but I did watch that main event. It was very much talked about. I think the fact that I read the results beforehand kind of hampered it a little bit for me. And for the people that say that doesn't make a difference, let me explain to you why it makes a difference. When you get to the part where Strowman completely brutalizes Lesnar and beats him down, slams him through 2 tables, then throws the 3rd table on top of him, and Lesnar has to be stretchered out, because I had the results spoiled for me, I knew that Lesnar was coming back. So that little bit of drama was missing. If I had watched it live, or even like the next day without having the results spoiled for me, I would have been like, oh my god, is this how Lesnar loses the title? And I would have been on the edge of my seat. But since I knew that Lesnar retained, I was kind of like, okay, Lesnar's going to come back and win. So we're on that. So for the people that say that having the results spoiled doesn't impact the enjoyment of the match, I wholeheartedly disagree, but that's just me. So that kind of took away from it a little bit for me, but I thought it was a very cool, hard-hitting match. Strowman looked like a beast. He continues to look like a beast. The brutalization that he put on Lesnar was just really cool, and really highlighted all the strengths of Braun Strowman as a rising star. I think I would have enjoyed this match more if it was just Strowman and Lesnar, which we're getting that match at No Mercy, so thank you, WWE. Roman and Joe felt like they were kind of just there to interrupt Strowman and Lesnar. Like the real story of the match and the real intrigue was the Strowman Lesnar stuff, and Joe was just there to spam coquina clutches, and Roman was just there to hit Superman punches and spears. So Lesnar for taking such a beating and Strowman for dishing out such a beating, they were the real stars of the match. It made for a very exciting, hard-hitting match. So kudos, very good main event, I thought. Number 5, Asuka versus Ember Moon for the NXT Women's title at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3. Best match from this show, I thought. There were a lot of really good matches on the show. You had Rude and Drew Galloway. You had Johnny Gargano versus Andrade Cien Almas in the opener. But I thought the girls stole the show here. I thought it was very good, very emotional, and as it turns out, a very fitting farewell for Asuka in NXT. Even though she didn't lose, she didn't drop the title, she gets to move on to the main roster. Turns out she's going to Monday Night Raw. She gets to go to the main roster undefeated. Hopefully they have the foresight of keeping her undefeated for a lengthy period of time, and making her eventual loss feel like a big deal. My initial joke was, when I heard that she was moving to the main roster, was, oh, I can't wait to see her lose her 5th match for no reason. I hope that was just a sarcastic quip that doesn't come to fruition. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, I don't want to be right on that. I really, really want to be wrong on that. It's like, look, keep her undefeated. Make it a big deal when she ultimately loses. But I thought the match that Ember and Asuka had was very good. It was by far Ember's best match to date. So, I mean, I would think she would probably get the belt, or at least get set up to get the belt now that Asuka's relinquished the title. I think Ember is probably going to be next in line. Maybe they'll put a heel in the way first, but I would think Ember is probably going to be set up to ultimately win the title at some point soon. Moving on from there. Number 4, Mil Muertes versus Jeremiah Crane in a no DQ match in the Cueto Cup second round. This was from the August 9th episode of Lucha Underground. This match was, you see a lot of hardcore matches. Actually, I'll use Triplemania as an example. Mil Muertes, as Macias, unmasked, not playing that character, had a match with Pagano, and it was a hardcore match. And it was very much like garbage wrestling-y and kind of felt like a backyard match and didn't have the same kind of class to it that didn't really feel like much of a match. It just felt like a bunch of guys smacking each other with weapons and didn't really work for me. This match was the complete opposite. I felt like both guys were trying to kill each other. And that if you can get me to believe that they are legit trying to beat the holy hell out of each other, then you've done your job. And even starting the match off with Muertes just throwing Jeremiah Crane throughout the crowd and just pummeling him to death. All very, very good stuff. I would go as far to say probably the best match of the tournament. There were some really good matches in the Cueto Cup tournament, but I think that one was probably my favorite just because it was such a hard-hitting affair. And it had the build-up behind it with Jeremiah Crane expressing romantic interest in Katrina, which if you want to piss off Mil Muertes, that's a good way to do it. And thought it was just a very good match. Very, very good, excellent stuff between two guys that know how to work the hardcore style. So, I really enjoyed it. Number 3, Kazuchika Okada versus Minoru Suzuki in the G1 Climax, a Block B match. This was the 30-minute draw, and one of the signs that Omega was slowing down and ultimately set him up for the loss against Omega. I think I used Omega and Okada interchangeably. Okay, so Okada, this is the match that set up Okada for his ultimate loss to Omega in the Block B finals, and was one of the signs that that Okada was slowing down. He wasn't winning as easily, and he suffered the injury against God. Who was it that beat him? I've already forgotten. I want to say Sonata, but I'm not sure. I'm probably wrong on that, but no, it was Evil. It was Evil who beat him. It was one of those guys. It was one of Naito's guys. But anyway, he had that loss, suffered the injury, and then he had this match with Suzuki, which went to the 30-minute draw, and then ultimately lost to Omega. So it was a sign of Okada slowing down and getting worn down as the G1 Climax continued. But a very good match between these two. I think these two had an excellent match back in February, and this one was just more of the same, and one of the better matches of the G1 Climax. Number 2, Tetsuya Naito versus Hiroshi Tanahashi in what was essentially the finals of the A block in the G1 Climax. And, I've said it already. In any other promotion, the matches that these two have would be praised as some of the best stuff in wrestling right now. But they're always in the shadow of the Omega-Okada matches, which are like next level shit of great. But I think Naito and Tanahashi have had some great matches. They had a very good match at Wrestle Kingdom. They had an even better match at Dominion, and then this match was very good as well. So it's a very damn good trilogy that they have going here. And they don't quite have the credit for it because they're just constantly in the shadow of Omega and Okada. But another very strong match from these two, and Naito got the win and ultimately set him up to win in the finals. And number 1, I'm cheating here. It's a tie. 2 G1 Climax matches. Tetsuya Naito versus Kenny Omega in the finals, and Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada in the B block finals to set up the final match with Naito. 2 excellent matches. Again, Omega and Okada just have crazy good chemistry, and their third match, completely different, told a different story, and Omega finally hit the one-winged angel in the center of the ring and got the win. And then you have Naito and Omega, who just fucking nearly killed each other out there with some of the sickest things I've ever seen in a wrestling match. And had an excellent encounter that was more than worthy as a tournament finals. I could see either guy winning. Naito ultimately got the win, and it looks like he's being set up for the main event spot at Wrestle Kingdom. So, I couldn't decide which match I liked more, so I just gave it to a tie. So you get a top 11 this month. I'm feeling generous. And with that, I'm going to give Brand of the Month, which was very tough because NXT had a very strong TakeOver special. Lucha Underground is always strong week to week. But I'm going to give it to New Japan because they just, the G1 Climax just tore it up, and they followed it up with a very strong finale. So I'm going to give Brand of the Month to New Japan. But that is all I have for you now. Done with this video. I'll be back for more later this week, so stay tuned for that.